I'm Bill,
I'm Chase.
and this is Wildcat Chat, the home of all things Kentucky basketball. Welcome back to Wildcat Chat, episode 2. How are we feeling after last weekend? Wow.
A mix of emotions. I would say emotionally drained in a good way. I wasn't able to sleep Saturday night, so I'm
Same.
feeling the Mondayest of Mondays today, but that's a good thing.
Was
I
the
would
late
say I would say Wednesday wasn't feeling great. Didn't have good expectations to Saturday. Halfway through Saturday, I was like, should I go to bed?
You
But
and the
we're
rest
here.
of Wildcat
Yes, but we're
Nation,
here.
I think,
It was
thinking
good.
that. It's also
We learned a lot.
Hate Louisville week,
Yes.
so L's down out there. So always excited for Louisville week. I'll be in attendance Saturday, so I'm super excited. 5
I'm very
o'clock game.
jealous.
So we'll get into that. So wanted to start a new piece of our show. We're going to do a little icebreaker off the top. We threw in some random questions. So I'm going to pull one out to ask you, and then you can do the same. All right.
Oh boy.
Let's see what we got. All right. So the game's on the line. We're down 1. You need one player to take the shot all time.
All time?
All-time player
Oh
roster.
my gosh.
Who is it and why?
Just in terms of how clutch he was. Oh, it's either Harris. No, I'm gonna go Malik Monk.
Ooh.
Just like especially
didn't see that.
because of
I
that
like
North
that.
Carolina game. Like the
yeah.
guy would he'd chuck it from 50 feet away, and when a game was on the line, it just seemed to always go in.
Who was the guy from Carolina that came down and daggered it? Just took our hearts out right after Malik hit the shot.
Oh, in the tournament,
Yeah,
because
yeah,
he won
yeah.
it in the regular
Yeah,
season.
yeah,
It
yeah.
was
Can't remember his name. Which
Luke?
probably
Luke
a good
something?
thing. Oh, it was Luke. Luke May.
May. Yep.
I
Yeah.
actually missed the shot because I was so excited. Monk hit
Oh.
the 3. I ran outside screaming,
Oh, no.
and then Luke May hit the
Yep.
shot, and it ruined my life for like a week.
That
Probably a
game
year,
that game was so bad that ESPN commentators were talking about how bad the refs were in the first half.
They were off.
Jay
Was
Wright,
that the Huggins game? Higgins, the guy that like UK fans were like calling his roofing company.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're crazy. All right, anyway, get to it.
All right. Let's
Higgins. It was definitely Higgins.
gosh.
Don't like that guy. Still don't like that guy.
Hear that? All right. Okay. One player from last year you could bring onto this team. Who would it be?
That's a good question. Reeves. Reeves was a stud. He just everything he did. I think he has that tenacity, kind of like Owe this year too. He didn't mind getting to the hoop. He obviously was a dagger from 3. I think he would really, really play well. under
Veteran
Popes.
presence is good. You
Yeah,
don't
veteran
think
presence, too.
Big O? Do you think that he wouldn't gel well with the other big guys?
Too slow too, I think, for what we're doing here, back and forth.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes
Antonio
sense.
Reeves he's a nice guy too. So,
That was
we're supposed-
terrible. Oh my!
You missed the
gosh.
shot.
All right.
I forgot to make my shot. Let's see if I can make
Oh, yeah,
my
if we-
shot. Take a shot.
If we have to take a shot. if we
Rimmed
miss
out.
The
We're not
shot,
very
so-
good. Good thing we're here and not
Yeah.
on the court. All right, let's get into it.
Oh,
So,
my gosh.
obviously, huge win in Gonzaga. But let's start the week right. Let's talk through it in sync of what happened. So, Clemson, we both felt good going in. We felt like it was going to be our first road test. Duke was a neutral court.
Mhm.
We had the lead, started to let it slip, losing at halftime, really couldn't get back into it, and they pulled away. What was your initial takeaways from the loss on Tuesday night?
Tuesday
Yeah.
night.
Late Tuesday night, like 11.
Last week, the thing I said was like, I'm feeling confident, but this could be a trap game. And I would
You
say
called
this
that.
is the most epitome of trap games.
You called it.
Lethargic coming out, lack of hustle for a team that, if you just objectively look stat for stat, was not as good as us, but they just hustled their butt off and got to balls that we should have. In my notes, it's just like at the beginning, I was excited, like Amari Williams looked like he was crushing it, and then I turned so hard on that poor kid with his lack of effort. There was a couple loose balls that he just like walked up to, and a guy would come around that. Oh, what was his name?
Shefflin.
No, the other No, it's the other guy.
Zachary Wiggins.
Zachary.
Zachary was
with
a little
the
scrappy.
crazy hair. Yeah, just
It looked like he's like 48.
yes.
I think he's actually applying for his ARP card next
Yep.
year. So
Pick
it's crazy.
pick a pocket, do a three, and then he'd get in one of our faces, and he like stuck his tongue out, and I'm just like,
He stuck his tongue out.
Yeah, he's just like,
I didn't catch that.
and I was
Did
like,
Kerr stick it back?
Yeah, and I don't know, but I was like, how do you do that? No tech, and then Garrison on Saturday just goes, oh, and they were like,
I text you, and
yeah.
then you made me more mad because then you kind of defended.
No, I was
the
just
tech.
like,
let him play.
yeah.
Let him talk his junk. I'm tired of this stuff.
But my thing was they talked about how it's supposed to be a thing this year that they're going to look at, and I'm saying you got to look at it the whole way. There was
Let him celebrate.
There was the guy on Tuesday in Clemson's game that did the smack the ball down and didn't catch it. Isaac Humphries lost us the game. That's a technical.
Oh, Isaac
so like,
Humphries. Don't ever bring him up again, please. Anyway, so yeah, I mean,
Australia's finest.
I agree with you. I felt like Clemson was out hustling us, and that's not what I expected from a Pope team. Losing Butler there, he got hurt late.
That's the biggest thing.
Yeah.
Well, you were talking about like I was like he doesn't finish down low a lot, but his leadership presence was missed this entire week. Yeah. I thought it was that ankle sprain. I thought wasn't a big deal. Yeah. The second I saw him in civvies on Saturday, I was like, oh no. Yeah. So his presence, like 2 fouls early. Third foul, 38 seconds, I think it was, into the second half. That did not lend well to their plan because I think they figured out who they want their backup point guard to be by Saturday. Yep. But they're a
better team with Butler on the court.
Their scheme from Western Kentucky all the way to now has been we're going to defend you outside the 3-point line, and we're basically playing you man up because we don't think you can drive past us.
Past our guys.
And it's hurt Brea the entire time. Hurt Brea at Clemson. He got a good shot off in Gonzaga, but I mean, he's shooting air balls. He's shooting, it's hitting the back. Like it is messing with his flow. Yeah. And it's going to be a test because it does not seem like we don't have the dealing. We don't have that speed off the dribble that we're just going to blow past guys. I think Oweh's the only one that can do it well. But if you watched, I don't want to get into Gonzaga just yet, but he goes hard and tries to spin move a lot. And people
it's always a spin.
We're playing off his spin and getting deflections, trying to get steals. So he might have to adjust. But I love how hard he goes to the rim. He like 9 times out of 10, we win that game. Clemson at the end, just wide open threes. We just weren't making them.
Yeah, we weren't making them.
Oweh had like I think 2.
They get 2 at the leg because they
just wide
got the rebound, threw it back to him.
Butler did hit one a little too late. He only lost by 4, but epitome of a trap game. I wasn't worried.
Yeah, your takeaway wasn't you weren't too worried.
I was super impressed by Clemson's fans. That was
By the way, Little John Arena.
Yeah, I
can't
had no
think of
idea.
a better name than Little John. That bothered me a lot.
Yeah, really?
Yeah, it did a lot. Like too much. I'm still bothered.
Should it be made Marion, Jim?
Big John. I would like Big John more than Little John's kind of weird.
So Little John was big though. So I mean, that's
it's fair.
Yeah.
So I want to throw a stat out. So Ian Shefflin, right? Everybody that watched the game knows that guy was
we'd have lost by 45 if that guy could make a basket, but his hustle and his rebounding.
And I felt like he had a punchable face. I just wanted to punch him.
You said he looked like what did you say he looked like? From Olaf from Frozen. Josh Gad. You said he looked like Josh Gad. And every time I watched after you said that, I was like, yep, I can see it.
So here's a crazy stat because the guy I thought he took over the game. He had so many rebounds and we couldn't stop him. He was 4 of 20 from the field.
He could not make a
4
basket.
4 of 20 and we lost. That's horrible.
That's why I got so mad at Mario Williams. So
he had 20 rebounds.
So
it's crazy.
The problem was that was me. Yeah. My one thing.
You couldn't shoot.
Not rebounding was my thing.
Got it.
In college, I was the second shortest guy on the team, and my coach made people run drills because I was out hustling the bigger guys. So watching him do that, it made me mad, but I was just like, I love that. I was like, why can't our guys do that?
Yeah. Have you ever thought about getting a Dennis Rodman tattoo?
No.
Anyway,
I almost got one of his dresses though, so that's fun. Anyway,
please don't do that either.
Oweh's hustle, like he's diving for balls, but when you got 7-footers,
it's tough.
You gotta get down. try to grab
Out
that.
hustled, outworked. I don't know if you watch Pope's I'm a big press conference guy. I'm not sure why, but I love press conferences. And Pope afterwards gave all the credit to Clemson. Said, "Hey, this wasn't typical UK basketball. We'll get better." I love the press conference. Usually in the past, I want to stop using his name so much, but Coach Cal, he would always. It felt like he was kind of blaming the guys without blaming the guys, and Pope took a lot of ownership, which I was wondering with our first loss. I was hoping it wouldn't be Clemson, but how Pope would respond, and I thought he nailed it well. I thought he handled it well, and yeah, so
I'm gonna have to start watching post game press conferences now.
he does a good job. And one thing I like about Pope too is he'll bring his other players up there with him, and
Mhm.
he'll like let them talk because usually the coach wants all the time, but he's like, "Hey, you answer that, Jax, or you answer that, Andrew," and it's like that's cool that he's bringing his. And that just really shows he truly is a team guy. It's not just all this show. He really cares about his guys. So walking out of that game, I was worried heading into the weekend because I thought we were exposed a little bit down low. I think we have a fantastic guard forward presence. I'm a little worried about our interior. Garrison was he out that game or no? He was on a minute count. Because I think he was coming back.
Mhm.
Right. So he played in the Clemson game,
He did play.
but he only played 12 minutes. So he was on a count. Amare, I think we both can agree, he's not really been what we are hoping yet. He's got a lot of potential.
So
Inconsistent, right?
they called we were talking about, you called it the like the center point
Yeah.
up
Yeah,
top.
yeah.
Jimmy Dykes, who called both games, every time he's commentating on a game, I love Jimmy when he's talking. He just has good, like I learn something new every time he
It's
talks.
funny you say that because I text my buddy Dan and said, "Since when did Jimmy Dykes start hating Kentucky basketball?" I felt like he was attacking us
Oh, really?
both games. So it's just
Yeah.
interesting
But
to hear different
post-
perspectives. But he
his
is a smart
his
guy.
post
Yeah.
game like tweets, he's lauding it, like the
Is he?
hustle, the
Good.
grit.
All right.
But he called it zoom action.
Hmm.
So you have the center up front, up top. It's usually like a give, and you either give and fade back, give and immediately cut.
Yeah.
You usually have two guys cutting at the same time.
Yeah.
It's a flow that's a little different than motion offense, mostly because the center's at top. But a lot of people have noticed Amari will dribble it up to the top, and it's like sometimes when Oscar would dribble, you're just
Yeah,
like
don't dribble.
find the
Yeah.
point guard,
Get rid of it.
give that ball to a man that can actually dribble a basketball, because there was so many turnovers that game from the center and that's what we have to talk about, because we're going to talk about how good he was on Saturday, but Carr did not show up to that game,
He did not.
and that
He did not.
really hurt. So you
He
see,
only played 24 minutes,
Yeah.
Carr, 1 of 7. And Amari had 4 turnovers.
Yep.
So to your point, I never really thought about that, but looking at the stats, those 4 turnovers hurt. We lost by 2
and it was
buckets.
a lot of guys, him trying to establish something, come to
Yeah.
some pick his pocket. Carr,
Hmm.
17 points at Duke. You're just like, then the big games you would think that he was going to show up.
He
And,
struggled for sure.
Oh, big time.
Was it Shefflin? Was he in his head? Because I think they guarded each other a lot.
I don't know, because he definitely had the height presence.
Yeah.
Like he would have. That was a mismatch for sure.
Well, anyway, moving off of Clemson, I think it was good to get a loss early and kind of get established going into Gonzaga. Obviously, that showed in the second half. So I don't know how you felt in the Duke game when we were down 9, I believe, at halftime. I felt like we talked about it last episode. Let's not get blown out, right?
Mhm,
Let's not lose
mhm.
by 20. I had that same feeling pretty early in Gonzaga. I was like, oh gosh, we're getting exposed this week. We're on national television, primetime game, and we just don't look good. I mean, I think they took a 16-point lead at halftime. I was very worried. Hats off to Gonzaga. I think that was a Final Four game that felt like a Final tight
Yep.
matchup.
Oh, for sure.
Gonzaga's tough. I think they're going to drop. I haven't seen the polls yet today. They're going to drop probably a little bit. Yeah, if you can pull that up and see where they drop to, if it's out yet. But I think they'll be right there at the end. They've got an experienced crew, a lot of good guard play. That big guy, Ek, I think is how you say it. Or
Mhm. I'm
he
gonna
was
say Ek.
he was an absolute
I'm going
stud.
to talk a lot about him. Yeah.
Yeah, he was an absolute stud. So yeah, what's your takeaways from the game, and what this means for UK basketball?
The tenacity is amazing to see after seeing so much. I think tuck tail and run type mentality of the last couple of years
Yep.
of any time that type of adversity would show up, and I kind of expected them to roll over because of that. I got just used to it.
You know why they didn't, in my opinion?
Why?
Because these are older
No.
gentlemen.
Oh yes,
that
I
wanna
definitely I thought about that. I was like, these guys
team.
after they won, I was just like, you have a bunch of freshmen, probably went to these AAU teams, big type high schools, probably never got blown out in their life.
Right.
They don't know how.
They don't know how to respond.
You got vets. They're probably like, man, this happened to us. Like the biggest thing I loved about, and Cal talk about it all the time, Anthony Davis, like his senior year of high school, like they had a really bad losing record. And I was like, how do you lose
With
with
that guy on
Anthony
your
Davis
team?
on the team?
Yeah.
But like
Interesting.
that was not a good
I
high
didn't know
school
that.
team.
Hmm.
And it said it usually lit a fire in him. Like, I thought the game, I'm going to get into the specifics, but how it ended,
Yeah.
foul shots missed.
Yeah.
I was having really bad flashbacks to the 2012 year one it all.
Yeah.
That Indiana game.
Yes.
Dron Lamb.
Yep.
All you need to do was
Yeah.
make one.
Yep.
He missed
Good.
the front end of a 1-on-1.
Good call out. Yep.
Down up 2.
Yep.
Dude
They're
goes in
gonna
the
run
corner,
down and hit a
chuck the 3.
Yeah.
They said Davis cried in the locker room. He said it's never going to happen again. Like sometimes you need the loss, you need the adversity, and it helps you realize. But I think he had felt that before, so it helps. So when you have a bunch of vets, I think that was very helpful, and I think they knew they should have won on Tuesday. So you just can't have multiple times. But it's also a coach that actually makes adjustments at halftime.
We'll get into that.
The first thing I noticed, because I thought it was going to be a shootout for the ages, because like they made the first 6 shots, it was like 2, 3, 3, 2, 2, and it was just like it was 8-7. No one had missed a bucket. I was like, man, this is gonna be the highest pace.
153
and then it was like the drought of droughts for UK for like 5 minutes. But one, I was like the refs, I was appreciating because I know we talked about it. I never try to blame a game on the ref.
And I usually always do.
But
I am that guy.
I get it. Clemson, they missed a double dribble. They missed 2 wide open,
worst double dribble missing of all time.
The Russian guy from UC, the transfer.
Yeah, Locken, Victor.
Shuffling his feet down low almost traveling every time. It was against us, so I felt bad. But Garrison, first time he gets the ball, felt like he was on zoomies. Young, one of the younger guys.
Yeah.
Big game. Shuffle his feet, travel, boom.
Yeah.
And just
one-sided.
Yeah. And I was like, these refs are actually going to call stuff.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
Then EK came along. EK got, I think, 18 points in the first half.
He did. Yep.
Made Amari look absolutely silly. And I was like, this guy, I don't remember this game. I probably didn't even, I know I definitely watched. I've watched all. We've not beat Gonzaga since we've started this home and home
right
scenario. At Rupp last year, or at the I think they played in that other building because it's supposed to be like a neutral site every time.
Right.
He destroyed us here in Kentucky, and that's the thing where Cal's post-game press conference, he said, "Well, we lost that in the first half."
Yeah, you sent that to me, and I just
was
laughed.
like, yeah, it's so funny.
Same thing,
in
right?
hindsight,
We
but-
lost in the first half, except we didn't lose.
So the thing that they were doing is they were going under screens and constantly not trying to switch. So you would get this separation, and he was making these like 5 or 6 foot bunnies, and they were just going in. And then
he didn't miss.
Then he'd get Amari would just get beat every time. I don't think he was in foul trouble, but guy got to the foul line a lot. And if he didn't miss some foul shots at the end of the first half, he easily would have had over 20 points the first half.
Yep.
So
He's a
they're
stud,
yes.
man. Just an absolute stud. I
and-
thought Battle was a stud. That dunk he had, that right-handed dunk was. I was impressed. Right? It's crazy.
Then Amari would go out. Garrison would come in. I would be so enthused by his energy.
Yeah.
And I text you, it's like every good thing he did, he'd do a bad thing.
Yeah.
Make a basket. He did the travel, make a basket, make a rebound.
Yeah.
Then miss a pass that went straight through his hands, and he was like 4 feet away from and I was just like, he's thinking too much. Has a crazy and one. Then he gets a technical, even if it was warranted or not. You're just like, I was like, that seems to be how his game is going to go. That's how it felt the first half in general was going. No Butler. Didn't look like Creasa was initiating great offense. The defense, again, playing like super hardcore. It was like man defense and football, just like right up. And you're just like, burn me, and no one
We couldn't
could.
do it. Yep.
Couldn't get some threes off. We tried. We made a couple. I EK made a three because Garrison was like
Should go ahead and
like
shoot it.
8 feet off him. But then Garrison immediately went down the court and then made his own first three in his collegiate career, I think, or at least the season.
Yeah.
So I was not entirely enthused. Obviously, no one was at
First
halftime.
half, yeah.
So, but
And I thought Nemhard, he controls that team. I mean, he's their their glue guy. He's very impressive.
When you got a point guard, he's not looking to make shots. He's trying to be the assist guy. Yes, he is the floor general.
Yep.
That is what Butler is, and you could tell we were missing that.
Yep.
And
so, what do you envision at halftime? What did Pope say to his team?
Well, I actually listened to.
You were in the locker room?
No. Matt Jones is like KSR post game, and he asked Pope about this, so I didn't watch the.
I didn't hear this.
I didn't watch the press conference, but
I'm interested. What did he say?
He did not say that his team couldn't burn the defenders, but what he said was, if they're going to play us that close, we're going to just cut, because that's how you make separation. So instead of trying to dribble drive, burn them yourselves, backdoor cuts, screen cuts, like, and that was getting. I remember what started that big push, because at the time we were down 16 and a half, down 18.
Yeah, we got down to 18 early.
Owe had a cut dunk. Like, it was back-to-back cut dunks. It was a Carr, then it was Owe, and then I think Carr again on like a super small bunny. And it's just like 6 points, just like, and you're like, oh, wow, that's nice. That was a good offensive change. Defensive change was that 1-3-1. Zone, I still do not think Hal Pard knows that word. He doesn't.
He just trusts his individual guys to play.
But then they would go 1-3-1. They would go 1-3-1 look, and then go immediately into man. Messed with them. And again,
keep your team.
We're talking
guessing,
about
right?
What was the guy's name from Clemson? I keep wanting to say Scheffler, but it's like who was the gentleman that looked like Josh Gad?
Shefflin.
Shefflin.
Yeah.
The epitome,
Once you said Josh Gad, I remember.
The epitome of Shefflin is Gonzaga's name. I did not know this. It's Mark Feud. Just
the coach?
Feud? Yeah, the coach.
Yeah, Mark Feud. Yeah.
This is his highest percentage foul shooting team and his lowest 3-point percentage.
They don't even look for a three. They don't. They don't want it.
And again, of
course,
they started making.
Of
course, they started making them at the end. But at one point, they were 3 for 24. 3 for 24 again.
And they finished 6 for 27.
Yes.
So that would tell me they made their last.
They made
three.
their last. Yes,
naturally,
and
great
one
timing.
Was a crazy contested. I was just like, how in the world? But so if they're not, you're going to give away the paint. Yeah. You're just like, hey, shoot threes. Then that's what a zone's for. Yeah. You show their weakness. They showed our weakness, and our adjustment benefited us better than they. It's like it didn't seem like they adjusted to our adjustment. They kept trying. Oh, and the other thing was, and you saw it a lot. They started switching screens instead of trying to go under, and Ige would just be wide open. But then you would see like Brea on Ika, but the zone sometimes was so claustrophobic they couldn't get it down low to that big mismatch, and then they would. Yeah. But then he missed a lot of foul shots. A lot of pressures on him too. So at 18 points at the end of the first half, EK did not get his 21st point until like 6 minutes to go in the game. Then he popped off for like 3 or 4 buckets. And what happened was, and I remember it very specifically, Amari got burned really bad. Owe had a switch, fouled him badly in the back. He missed the basket. I think he made one of two. Amari came out. Garrison came in.
Back.
And for 2 or 3 straight possessions, they took it down to EK. And Garrison just flat out either blocked it, just played great defense, and that is what spurred it. So, but by the end, he couldn't guard him. In the end of the second half,
do we have an interior problem? Are we worried about that for like Hunter Dickerson later in the year if we play Kansas in the tournament? Do you think is there a fix there with Garrison? I feel like Garrison's more offense and Amari's more defense, but
he's supposed to be. That's why I was just like, Amari's supposed to be this defense guy, and he was getting played this
week. Do you
week.
feel like we're gonna be okay? Or what's your...
I think we will be fine. Okay. I think you have, at least on offense, if you have a big guy like that, I think this zoom action and keeping him out of keeping them out of the paint helps us.
Yeah.
And I don't want it to be like a shootout like last year, but I feel like you can make adjustments on defense like Pope did, and it works. I just want to not have to make such an adjustment. I like they talked about how your two biggest games they came out so lethargic. Is it like, oh, we have the name on the shirt now? Is it the bright lights? But like Duke in this game is like, let's get out on a more fast pace. And I think Butler coming back
will help that for sure. And as the season goes,
we're not going to have this rough of 3-point shooting the whole year. The stretch, I think they're going to make adjustments
28%.
because of how people are defending us now. It's almost like a box and one on Brea. It's just like someone like the guy that you said got the dunk played him face to battle.
Yeah, he's an athlete. I think he's going to be an NBA player.
Insane defense.
Good. Yeah,
and Brea, when he tried to get open, he had one really good one dribble shot in the second half that got us down to I think 3 or down 5. It was really awesome. But then he airballed it. He did one in the
He's
corner.
a liability on defense too, and they exposed him a couple times.
Creasa was too, and then and then the big thing was then he came out what looked like a cramp, ended up being a broken bone on his toe.
Yeah, what was the you messaged it to me?
I looked at the Jones a Jones
fracture, bone or interesting. So they're saying he's going to be out 3 to 6 weeks, which is which we saw Travis Perry get a couple minutes, Kentucky boy.
Mm-hmm.
I guess we'll see a little bit more of him, which is going to be exciting, especially in games. We'll talk about a little bit about a little more cupcake games here sprinkled in during the holidays. I did want to say I had called out this was going to be Robinson's breakout game, and for all intents and purposes, I thought Jackson Robinson was the reason why we won that game. He played really, really good.
I had Carr MVP.
Yeah.
19 this game. Yeah. Came away with it. I almost put Robinson over Carr.
Yeah.
Because Carr missed 2 foul shots at the end.
Late.
But his effort to pop the ball out got back on defense after missing 2 foul shots. Like that is that veteran mentality instead of, putting your head down, getting mad at yourself, taking yourself out of the play.
Yeah.
That was the turnaround we needed. I think Creasa going out was the best thing for Jackson.
Absolutely.
Like I know he played some backup point guard, but he looked more comfortable doing things from the 1 than he has all year being, usually it's the 3 or like the shooting guard. That full length pass through like 4 defenders, is the ballsiest thing I've ever seen. And you threw it to Amari, who doesn't have the best hands. Just that started overtime. That got us up 4, and you're just like,
we go.
That vision, like if he's got that, like we're gonna be solid.
Yeah.
So I have to make a confession. In the age of streaming, I am a sicko. I will see the score in real time when it's about 30 to 45 seconds behind. So it's like I'm peering into the future, but having no idea what's happening. So I'll see like we're up 5, and I'm like, how to happen, And people hate when I do. Like they're like, put your phone.
Yeah,
it happens a lot during like football games, but it's because scores will give you like notification stuff, and I'll be like, McPherson missed it. Like, but I'm not saying out loud, but I'm just like. They're still 3rd down, so I'm like, I gotta wait 2 plays to watch.
Some of us like to live in the moment, Chase.
I know. I'm a sicko. It's gross. But when we were only up 1 at the very, very end, and it said we went up 3, and it said Garrison shot, and I was like, good. That was an entirely stressful play. He tried to pass it, it got deflected, and went through the defender's legs, and at the very last second, he goes left and does a floater right.
Beautiful.
And I was like,
you said Garrison, you mean Robinson?
I meant Robinson, yes, Jackson. How did that go in?
Yeah, it was a great shot.
And then, of course, being a sicko, it just says 0 seconds left, one point, but it doesn't say final. And I was like, did he miss both foul shots? And I'm up, I'm watching, and I was like, is this game going to end the way I think it's going to? That's why I brought up the Indiana game. I was like, this is going to be it all over. If he misses and they come back and just chuck a 3 when they've shot terribly all game, that is how like it happened with Cal against Alabama like twice. These like last second shots type deals. Like you said, Luke May. I am very used to the we're up in the lead. It's over.
The letdown.
The deflated feeling of like we didn't have the ball in the last possession and we didn't do anything. And it didn't happen. Like all props to them for coming back to the game. I'm still on a high from it. I legitimately could not sleep Saturday night. Also because the game started at 10 our time. So I had it's like you have to caffeinate yourself up to watch the game, and then you're just like, well, I'm wide awake now. And my heart is racing. Yeah. What am I supposed to do?
Yeah, I
watch highlights over and over is what I did.
It's a great win. Absolute great win. The 1-3-1 for me, I've coached AAU basketball for my son, and we would implement the 1-3-1. And with fifth, sixth, seventh graders, a little harder to implement a 1-3-1.
100%.
That top player of the 1-3-1 really dictates the whole. He's the quarterback of the team. He's usually your fastest guy. He's going to put the pressure on. I think when Butler gets healthy, and you got Amari in the back there, you can put anybody in that middle three, and we're going to be dangerous with that 1-3-1. So that's something that Cal would have just always played man, and so I love seeing that. I'm really hoping from the Patino days, which obviously was Pope's as a player. Patino is known for his full court press.
Yes, I was going to say you do a 1-3-1, you can establish presses.
Yeah, and I'm really hoping that we get into some press later in the season, because I think that's going to be when the vintage UK fans are like, oh my gosh, we're so back.
We're so back.
Yeah, so
it's a little before my time, but I knew all about Patino and pressing because I at least started watching when he was at Louisville, and they would try to do it to us.
Yeah.
Speaking of. But and it's so rare seeing that version of screen. Like if ever in time to zone, anytime Cal would even try it, was obviously your bread and butter 2-3, and they just look lost because I just don't think they practiced it enough for it. Just like their inbounds plays, just like anything.
Yeah.
What a masterful adjustment on both sides. And I texted you, I texted my dad, who is not a huge UK fan, but coached me in basketball. He's the same type of, he knows ball. Yeah. And I explained it to him, and I was just like, don't tell mom, full convert, Pope for life. You know, like
don't tell mom.
But
that's great.
For someone who didn't know him as a player, I got so much respect for him.
The man can coach. That was my takeaway. This guy can coach.
Because he also made enough adjustments that they could have won against, again, the Clemson game. They weren't down huge at half or anything like that, but they made adjustments to try and win because they were getting more rebounds in the second half. Like Shefflin wasn't as much of an issue in the second half
as the first.
The first. So you see the adjustments made. It's just they were making like that. We were going back to that game, but I'm sure you remember momentum on our side, whole shot clock, defense great, and they bank a three. And you're just like,
I remember the bank three.
When the second those things happen, you go, it's gonna be their night.
It's one of those nights.
It's just like that happens. It's a sport. Things are gonna just go their way.
Did they rush the court too? Do you remember?
Of course.
Yeah,
of course.
Because we're everybody's Super Bowl.
Yes,
that's the way it is. So, did want to call out real quick. Mark Pope called a timeout late in that game. Something that he
called all of his timeouts.
He used them all. Yeah. He didn't take them back on the plane with him. It's just stuff that would drive me absolutely bonkers with Cal. If you have them, use them, bro. Yep. And he never did. He trusts this guy.
Both marks on that floor used their timeouts, so it made the first overtime like 27 minutes long. Yeah. And I appreciate it. Like that's if you like. And let's talk about that. You talk about timeouts. His set play to end regulation was a great drawn up play. It just so happened that Owe just lobbed just too low.
Everybody thought that Owe was shooting there. It actually was Robinson. Robinson was shooting there, but he made that. It was actually a oop to Amari to dunk it, and the big guy Ike blocked it.
Yes,
and then Brea had a wide open jump shot. Like, bro, you got to make that.
Carr was wide open. Oh, that, but Carr was wide open for a three in the corner. Just there's three different options. It wasn't just like let him play, see what happens. Yeah, that made me. But also, I do think that if you fake the lob, that dunk would have been so wide open. The initial drive, but it was great. Hold it until 8 seconds.
I love the draw up. I just Brea's got to make that shot. I mean, I've been a huge Brea guy. I'm worried about him. I just think that something's wrong with him. It's early, so hopefully he can get it out of him. But I mean, he's got a wide open jump shot. Yeah. Dude, you make that shot.
North Carolina's lost like they lost like 3 in a row. They've lost 4 games already, and they'll be a 2 seed in the turn. Like all these, your good
early.
teams, your
Get
good
it out of the
like
way.
like
Yeah.
they always make the adjustments. Like Tom Izzo's teams always seem like they have 15 losses, but they get hot at just the right time.
Well coached.
Yes, you're gonna have peaks and valleys with your shooters.
Yep.
They're gonna figure it out.
Yep. So let's move on. We got 2 games again this week. That's what I love about basketball season, right? It's 2 games at least every single week. Something to look forward to. We got Colgate, mighty Colgate coming into Rupp. Mighty, sorry. Last year they were not good. They did make the tournament. I'm sorry, they're not good this year. Last year they made the tournament. So
I love whenever I see them on the bracket
Yeah.
because I know that their conference is just like it's going to be something random.
Yeah.
And when it's Colgate, that's just a good time.
Yeah. Yeah, they were a 14 seed, lost to Baylor. They did make the tournament. This year they're having a pretty tough go so far. Looks like a get right game for us. I think we're going to work.
I do not believe it. I do not believe a trap game is in order. I do believe this will be an adjustment for the big game this weekend.
Yeah. So I don't want to spend too much time on it. I do think we need to work on rebounding. Rebounding has been a pain point for us. So how much are we going to beat Colgate by?
I think we're going to go over 100 it's been a couple games. I think
68-ish.
I think they don't hit 70. I hope they don't hit 70.
Love it. Awesome. So big game on Saturday.
Oh my gosh. And I can't watch it.
You can't watch the game. Just cut it. Cut the
in-laws are coming in town for an escape room. I was just like,
can I get their number? So I can call them and tell them how
I was going to say, like, it was like,
this is Louisville, man.
I'm going to tell them, I was like, I'm not trying to like I'm not trying to cheat in this escape room. I'm just trying to watch a basketball game. And while I'm watching, I'll be like, the lock is a 2070 for 3. I think I'm going to have time. And I've already, but like, so with a wife.
For new co-hosts if you don't make time.
Yeah.
Go on. Sorry. See your way out.
We talked about this off mic. We can talk about it a little before. Just got married this year. You've been happily married, I believe, 20. You're coming up on 20.
20 in June.
2 not big sporty wives. I talked to. I was like, does it get better in 20 years? Do they?
Does not.
Yeah. Do they watch?
Sports.
Yeah. Do they watch
Go
more?
team.
Yeah. So
she's kind of a UK fan though. Our first kiss was at Rupp. Just
that's
throwing
good.
it out there.
All right.
Literally the nosebleeds. Her brother looked this way, and I was like, "Hey, quick kiss." It was great. So 2003 Florida, where me and her will be back this year to that game. We go every year to Florida. It's our thing. Anyway.
I like it.
Let's talk Louisville.
I know. Well, I was going to say is I established ahead of time. I was like, babe, love you to death. There will be a screen on at some point. Like I feel like if you give them enough heads up, I was like, let mother-in-law know that I'm not trying to ignore them. It's work now. I got to take notes. I have to ask. Icebreaker. Biggest Louisville memory. Like biggest Louisville moment. I want to hear off the top of your head.
Love it.
What do you got?
I was at the 2014 regional game in Indianapolis where Aaron Harrison was just making every shot from like Egypt and Singapore. I mean, he was literally just out of his mind that entire tournament. That was definitely my most, other than the Ware leg breakage where like half his legs hanging out. Sorry, don't look it up. We'll put it on the screen. Yeah. Do you think he can walk?
Well, he played the next year. I was at. So
was he in a wheelchair?
No, he was so. But he had also like just gotten either like a DUI or gotten pulled over.
Oh, so he was still drunk when he broke it. Maybe. Yeah, that makes sense.
So of course our student section had like his driver's license like when they came in the next year. So I was at that game. All right, those are good answers. I was gonna pick Harrison for like if you had the game on the line because of that tournament.
Yeah.
They don't win. 2014 is easily the most exciting tournament. The run that his shots at the end. I've never been more like giddy. Yeah. Why more so than the 2012 championship game because those games were like Baylor was exciting. Baylor was the easiest Elite 8 win I've ever seen in my life. Like it was on a Sunday. I went over to some friend's house and I was like, we're up by like 20. Like this game, let's blow out. Let's just chat, I guess. So that, and then I think we played them Final Four that year. So a lot of exciting ones. This was a tie, Gonzaga, for the biggest deficit at half to come back to win 16. And it also happened against Louisville. And that's the game that I will always remember. Patrick Sparks down 16, Louisville. God. They were down 32-16 at half. They made 8 baskets.
Wow.
I was at a friend's house. We were getting phone calls from Louisville fans because it was ugly.
I don't have Louisville fans. What,
No,
what are those?
Yeah. In high school,
We
you
have no red in my house.
Yeah.
It's like
In high school,
we're
you
crazy.
just have to associate with people. I mean,
Our Christmas colors.
there's a
just green.
Xavier fan in
Just
the
green.
room with us right now, so you just gotta deal with some things.
Xavier relevant?
Uh,
You think he can hear me?
he is our sound guy, so I do believe he can hear you.
Got it.
Brian, we love you. So Patrick Sparks, only up 1, game on the line, does the shot fake of all shot fakes, jumps into the it's
The little
the little
side pump,
and then jumps into him.
Yeah.
No, they're down 1. Makes all 3 foul shots. Come back 16.
You think Andrew Carr would have made those foul shots?
Oh my gosh, I don't. Well, I mean, before that, he was making all of them. The whole team. Of course, I even wrote it. I was like, "There's always a commentary jinx." Literally. Oh, UK 15 for 15 from the foul line. Like they lost.
They
They
always
missed the
jinx
last
us.
2.
Yeah.
I was just like, of course
Yeah.
they're gonna say that. But no, that
That's
will
your
always be.
all-time.
I
Yeah.
remember on New Year's Eve watching the 2012 year where I think Davis had 17 blocks against those poor guys. Like there's been a run where it's
Didn't
not
Davis block to win his only because he stayed for 1 year, unfortunately? Didn't he block a Louisville shot to win that game?
No, they crushed that game.
Oh, they did.
Peyton Silva, it was the
He's-
Carolina game.
He's in jail for sure,
Yeah,
right?
Carolina game is the one where he blocked the shot.
Carolina. Sorry.
And then
Bad. That was
everyone,
bad.
it was like 5 seconds to go, and everyone was just like, "Oh, the game's over." But then he took it and then started dribbling. No one fouled him because they were just
Then
so
the game
shocked,
was
and the game
over.
was over.
Yeah.
So
it was a fadeaway, and he just was like, "Go gadget arm."
That probably was a phone screensaver of mine.
This is still right now.
No.
I'm glad that you got into the history because honestly, I'm looking at these stats. There's really nothing to talk about. They don't have anybody that's any good.
Well,
but I will tell you, they just gave Duke a run for their money.
I did.
Did you see that?
Yes,
they were up,
and
they took a halftime lead. Duke kind of poured it on. Cooper Flag finally showed up and played. But so, what are you worried about this game at all? And then I'll get into the coach a little bit for a second.
I am excited as much as I love Kenny Payne when he was with us. I'm glad that they have moved on because this rivalry has not been relevant in a while. And
We're 9-2 against them in the last 11. Did you know they went 8-24 last year? Could you imagine 8 wins?
Well, so
I think we have 8 wins
podcast
now.
producer Jessica, who we also have another podcast with her cousin Cameron. Hello, Cameron. Big Louisville fan. Watching him melt down on Twitter over those things. Yeah, well,
go
on. So I would get updates about their season from his
what season? The season was over in November.
Yeah. So
and then they lost their best player. Sky Clark transfers to UCLA. They literally have nobody here in the
dead
cupboard.
to us because he was a UK Wildcat who transferred to Louisville. I mean,
look at the team analysis I've written down here. What does that say?
They suck.
Yeah, this team sucks. We should win by 20. I feel
Bill,
good about it.
I did not know you had this wit. I love it.
Okay, so speaking of wit, everybody's excited about Pat Kelsey, new coach, right? They got rid of Kenny Payne. Do you know where he coached at before Louisville? Everybody's all excited about Pat Kelsey.
I saw it when on the hire.
Charleston.
Yeah.
Oh, the deadly, scary Charleston. We might win by 30 now that I talk through it. I'm feeling pretty good about it.
I'm feeling good. I
think we can win by 40?
It's here this year, right?
Yeah, I'll be there.
Yes.
Do you think I'm going to go to Freedom Hall or the Yum Center?
The Yum Center.
I'm not going to the Yum Center.
I
hate Pizza Hut.
You're in the restaurant business.
About?
Yeah, I know.
No, I'm not eating KFC for a week. I'm not eating. Actually, I haven't ate KFC in 2 years. So anyway, I would never go to the Yum Center. No.
I think they might win by. I think this might be
40 to stretch.
I think this might be back to back 100-point plus wins. I think that I won't be missing much if I'm in that escape room, but I do want to see some people pop off. The Amari Williams, the Breas, people that have this past week hasn't gone well. I want Colgate to be a game where if Butler is feeling good, they can ease him in
Yep.
and don't need him
I think
to
that'll
play
happen in
minutes.
Colgate.
So that when Saturday happens, he can be the floor general
Love it.
and he can just go ham.
We can just say suck at Louisville all
L's down.
weekend long. So last week, who was your player of the week, and then who's going to be the player this week, and then we'll get out of here.
All right.
Did you say Carr was your player of the week?
this week?
Yes.
But
Last week.
game 2.
We're
If you want to say overall,
Yeah.
I'm still going to say Owe because like I just in terms of what he can do.
Yeah.
Because he showed up for big moments even in Clemson's loss.
Yeah.
But for Gonzaga, it's clearly Carr. Wow, gosh, last week
I meant the last two games.
Last two games.
Yeah. And then
Okay.
who do you think is going to be this week?
Hearing your fears, I think
we're going by 40
Well, no. Hearing your fears
of the
about
team.
Brea's play, I
Yeah.
want it to be Brea. I want him to have the turnaround this quickly.
I love it.
I want him to see. I want Robinson to continue this stretch with Creasa out.
Yeah.
I want him to. I hope that Pope saw that and establishes him more in the one as the point guard.
Yeah.
And not have it just be a one-off in that one game.
Love it.
So if they can continue, Brea plays mostly a 2, but sometimes he'll bring the ball up. If your backcourt can stay that strong with 2 backcourt players either hurt or coming back from an injury, I think we're gonna be strong.
Awesome.
I think we're gonna be great, and I want to see Jennifer Lawrence in the stands leave early, like that one game at the Yum Center, KFC.
Do you think Ashley Judd and Jennifer Lawrence sit next to each other?
No, but what's funny is in the heyday, and your kids will probably understand this better than you. In the heyday of the Hunger Games,
I watched the Hunger Games.
Okay, all right. I didn't want to.
Katniss Everdeen.
All right. Okay.
What is that?
Yeah, all right.
You just call me old?
No.
You want me to play the bird song? Like,
Listen,
what is happening?
Listen, you wouldn't watch a music video on Wicked, so I didn't know where you went in terms of the tween angst.
Hunger Games is about like killing people,
but their books are for like 14-year-olds. So I didn't know if I'm saying
are
like.
They?
Well, I mean.
But you like
it's
it.
no Twilight.
I got it.
All
So
right,
you
no
like
Twilight.
it. Okay.
No, I did not. I like
District 11. I'll never forget. Go on. Or was it 12? I forget.
During that heyday, her co-star was from Lexington, Josh Hutcherson.
Yeah.
So he would be at the UK games. She'd be at the Louisville games. So she would be at the one in.
Was that
Louisville.
PETA or was that the other, like the big manly guy?
No, PETA. Not
PETA was such a little.
Not
I
Thor
can't
Jr.
say it on
Okay.
here, but just such.
So
he was always hurt. I need the cream, dude.
So
man up.
You
got Jennifer Lawrence. Like, dude, go ahead. I'm sorry. I keep taking.
No,
he's just got a man.
I've
up.
never like when you're passionate about something. I want to hear about it.
Not really, but
so Josh Hutcherson was the Y at the Louisville game I went to, and Kevin Ware, his driver's license was all over. They always have some celebrity previous. If you've not watched a game, all the cheerleaders will spell out Kentucky, and when they get to Y, John Wall comes in. Patrick Patterson. They come out and they make a Y. Everyone goes,
"Who's it going to be this week?"
Ooh. Man, that's a good question.
I think it's not going to be Calipari right now.
It'd be hilarious if they brought Patino out. I would laugh. I would laugh. That would be great. If it's
breaking news,
if it happens
against Louisville, that would be.
So usually this is the
I could
fanfare.
die that day. I'd be a happy man.
It was Josh Hutcherson during the heyday. Came out as the Y, absolutely silent because the entire student section they did. You could hear the whistle. One of the funniest things I've ever seen.
That's awesome.
But yes, man up. Apparently, also Josh. I'm sorry.
He's just always hurt. I don't know.
I worked on a movie with him, and he wanted to bring local fare to everybody on set, and he brought Gold Star. And I was just like, I think the crew hates you now. The cast might love what you brought.
Is that sponsored by Skyline next episode? Is that what that call out was for?
I'm going to wear the Cincy Skyline hat next time. Yeah.
So
Michelle.
Off of the Hunger Games, little sidebar there. Jackson Robinson was my player of the week last week. These two teams aren't strong down low. They're very guarded. I watched the Louisville Duke recap on YouTube. It was like a 9-minute little clip. Every single shot they made was a 3. They can't take the ball down low. So I think Amari is going to be a stud this week. Hoping
of the guys that need to turn around. I was hoping Brea, but Mamari definitely.
I really hope Brea. Brea was my favorite player coming in. He just looks, bro. He's air, like you say, he hit the side of the backboard on one. Like, what's happening?
And they didn't call it dead.
Yeah,
I thought I guess that's
because the refs are terrible. Anyway, all right, that's it. We're gonna go 2-0. We'll be back next week and go over next couple games. I'm Bill.
And I'm Chase.
Wildcat Chat.
And I'm Josh Hutchins.